we can write the overall stability constant as a log of B4. We are given the values of log of K1 plus log of K2 plus log of K3 plus log of K4, and by using these values we can easily calculate the overall stability constant log of B4. So log of B4 is equal to log of K1 plus log of K2 plus log of K3 plus log of K4, that is equal to 4.0 plus 3.2 plus 2.7 plus 2.0, that is equal to 11.9, my dear students. So ultimately log of B4 is equal to 11.9. That is what it shows as the instability constant or dissociation constant, and that is why we can write the definition for the instability constant or dissociation constant. The reciprocal of the overall stability constant or formation constant B4 is called instability constant or dissociation constant. So we can write 1 by beta 4 is equal to instability constant or dissociation constant, my dear students. Let us look at the in-text question. Calculate the overall complex dissociation equilibrium constant for CuNH34 plus 2, where beta 4 is given the for where given beta 4 for this complex is 2.1 into 10 to the power minus 13. So overall dissociation constant is equal to 1 upon beta 4 is equal to 1 upon 2.1 into 10 to the power 13. For 1, we can write 100 into 10 to the power minus 2 divided by 21 into 10 to the power uh, uh, 12. So you can easily divide this 100 with 21, and finally we get the answer 4.7 into 10 to the power minus 14. Now, my dear students, here we complete the complete theory of this chapter, but there are so many questions in the exercise which are beyond the scope of the theory discussed into the textbook. So, I am forced to solve most of the questions from the exercise for you, my dear students. So, let us study the exercise questions one by one. What is meant by the stability of coordination compound in the solution? State the factors which governs the stability of complex. This is a very important question which is not covered into the theory of the textbook, but it is a very important point. So let us study that point in detail. The stability of a complex in a solution means the degree of association between the metal ion and the ligand involved in the state of equilibrium. So once again, I'm going to repeat: the stability of a complex in a solution means the degree of association. Please remember this word. The stability of a complex in a solution is the degree of association between the metal ion and the ligand involved in the state of equilibrium. Factors affecting the stability. Please learn this definition, my dear students. It may be asked. The various factors that affect the stability is the nature of central ion, that is the charge, size, electronegativity, charge distribution, Killet effect, and macrocyclic effect. Same way, the nature of ligand, that is the basic strength, size, and charge. So this is how, my dear students, we understand the various factors. Now we will study each factor one by one. Number one, the nature of central ion or charge on central metal ion. Greater the charge density or charge to the radius ratio or central metal ion, greater is the stability. So complexes of Fe plus 2 are thus more stable than complex of Fe plus 2. You know, my dear students, that as the charge increases, the size of the ion decreases, and that is why Fe plus 3 would have smaller size than Fe plus 2. At the same time, Fe plus 3 has more charge. So the charge is to radius ratio would be smaller, or the charge density on Fe plus 3 would be greater, and that is why Fe plus 3 compound would be more stable. Same way, size of metal ion. Smaller is the size of the metal ion, more will be its stability for the complex formation. Here we have given the plus two ions of manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, and zinc. Their radius is given 91, 83, 82, 78, 69, 64. So as we move from manganese to zinc, the ionic radius decreases, and that is why the smallest ionic radius is with zinc plus 2. We have just seen that smaller is the size of metal ion, more will be the stability, and that is why the order of stability for complexes would be Mn plus 2 would be less than Fe plus 2, Fe plus 2 would be less than Co plus 2, Co plus 2 would be less than Ni plus 2, Ni plus 2 would be less than Cu plus 2, and Cu plus 2 would be less than Zn plus 2. This order of stability is called the Irving-Williams order of stability, and this is how we can understand for the stability of plus 2 ions ranging from manganese to zinc into the 3D series. Same way, my dear students, we can understand the other points too. Now we have the next point, which is described as electronegativity or charge distribution of metal ion. You can easily understand, my dear students, that depending upon the charge distribution on the metal ion, we can describe or we can understand the stability of the complexes. Depending upon charge distribution and electronegativity, metals are classified in three classes for the stability of the complexes. Let us understand these three classes. One is known as the class A metals. They are also known as the hard metals. So you can easily understand that these hard metals are, the examples are all alkali metals means metals of group 1, all alkaline earth metals means metals of group 2. Apart from that, we have scandium, titanium, yttrium, zirconium, hafnium, aluminium, Fe plus 3, lanthanum, actinium, and thorium. These all metals are known as the class A metals. Now, what are the characteristics of class A metals? These metals these metals have relatively few electrons beyond an inert gas core and comparatively small size, so charge density or charge radius ratio is even smaller, and that is why these metals make more stable complexes. This metal makes more stable coordinate entities with the ligands which have nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine as a donor atom. So these metals mostly make stable complex, but their complexes are stable even with the donor atom with nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine. Now we are going to study about the class B metals, which are also known as the soft metal, my dear students. The examples of soft metals are Pb plus 2, Tl plus 2, uh, IRPT, that is platinum, then uh, iridium, then we have gold, we have mercury, we have palladium, we have silver, we have cadmium, we have copper plus 1. Remember, my dear students, copper plus 1 is a class B metal. We will study about copper plus 2 metal even. So these metals have relatively full d orbital. Their orbital is completely filled. These metals make These metals make stable complex with ligand whose donor atoms are the heavier members of group 15, that is nitrogen family, group 16, that is oxygen family, and group 17, that is halogen family. That means they are not going to make stable complexes with the nitrogen as a donor atom, with the oxygen as a donor atom, or with the fluorine as a donor atom. Generally, these favorable atoms are sulfur, phosphorus, or iodine, and this way they form the stable compounds with the donor atom with sulfur, phosphorus, or iodine. We also have the borderline metals, my dear students. These borderline metals, which are neither class A metals nor class B metals, they are vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper plus 2, Zn, rhodium, tin, and Pb plus 4. These are called the intermediate or borderline metals. Now please remember this very important things, my dear students, that copper plus 1 is a class B metal, whereas copper plus 2 is a borderline metal. Fe plus 3 is a class A metal, whereas Fe plus 2 is a class B metal. Lead Pb plus 2 is a class B metal, whereas Pb plus 4 is a borderline metal. So depending upon charge on their ions, these metals are classified into the class A, class B, or the borderline metals, and accordingly they make stable complexes. Now, my dear students, we are going to study a very important effect which is known as the Killick effect. When ligand with more than, here we are going to study about the Killick effect when the metal with the more than when metal with the more than one ligate side or make a bond with central metal ion, com, uh, complex formed is called the chelate complex, and this phenomena is called chelation or chelation. Some people call it chelation, some people call it chelation, whatever the word may be, but it provides the more stability to the complexes. So this is what it is the most important thing that we need to learn. Due to chelation, the stability of a complex increases, and this is what it is known as the chelate effect. Chelate effect is maximum for 5 and 6 membered ring. That means if we have the EDTA, then it is going to give us the most chelate effect, and that is why the EDTA compounds are more stable as compared to the other compounds. Chelate effect is more important in biological system or into the analytical chemistry. So these chelate compounds are used for the biological system, or they are used for the various analytical purposes. Then we have macrocyclic effect. It if multi-dentate ligand, it's cyclic. Some multi-dentate ligand are, they are cyclic in nature. So if the multi-dentate ligand is cyclic and there are no unfavorable steric effects, this multi-dentate ligand does not cause any unfavorable steric effect, then the complex formed are more stable. So this cyclic ligand will make more stable complex, and this effect is called the macrocyclic effect. So this was the theory portion, my dear students, that we were in need of to understand. Now we have the second part, that is the nature of the ligand. So let us understand how the nature of the ligand affects the stability. First thing is basic strength. So we should understand about the basic strength of the complexes, my dear students. Let us first understand about the basic strength of the ligand. The more basic the ligand is, more basic is the ligand, more is the stability of the complex formed by it. For example, Cn minus and F minus and NH3 make more comparatively stable complexes. The next point is size and charge of the ligand. For anionic ligand, more is the charge and smaller is the size, more charge density or more charge to radius ratio, more is the stability of complexes. So this is the rule that we can apply for the anions, and if the anion has got the smaller size and if the anion has got the more charges or smaller size and more charges, that is what it is going to make the more stable complexes. F minus ions give more stable complexes than Cl minus ion because the size of F minus is smaller, but both have the similar charges, and that is why the complexes formed by F minus are more stable than the Cl minus. Now whatever we have studied, it's time to use that knowledge. So among the following, the most stable complexes. So let us see various complexes that we have seen. FeH2O6 plus 3, FeNH3 6 plus 3, FeC2O4 thrice minus 3, and FeCl6 minus 3. Here the various ligands that we have used are H2O, NH3. The various complexes or the various ligands, all these ligands have been bonded to Fe plus 3 ion. So H2O and NH3, they are the neutral ligands, whereas C2O4 minus 2 oxalate ion and chloride ion, they are the ions. C2O4, all these three, H2O, NH3 and Cl minus are monodentate, whereas C2O4 minus 2 is a didentate. It has more charge. All the ionic species have either -1 charge or 0 charge, whereas oxalate ion has got -2 charge, and that is why due to the effect of ligand, FeC2O4 thrice minus 3 is going to be the most stable complex. Now we will study about the next question. Aqueous copper sulfate solution, which is blue in color, gives a green precipitate with aqueous potassium fluoride and a bright green solution with aqueous potassium chloride. Explain this reaction. So my dear students, when aqueous copper sulfate solution exists as a CuS2O4 into SO4, which is blue in color, when Kf is added to weak water ligands are replaced by F minus ions, and CuF4 minus 2 is formed, which is green in color, and that is why we can see the green precipitates. Please remember here, this CuF4 minus 2 is water insoluble, and that is why the precipitates are formed. So CuH2O4 blue color, CuH2O4 plus 2 blue in color, we add 4F minus, we get CuF4 minus 2 solid, which are the green precipitates and water. The next phenomena we can understand that aqueous copper sulfate CuH2O4 SO4 when treated with the KCl Cl minus ion ligand uh, uh, replace H2O ligand, which forms CuCl4 minus 2, which is a water soluble green colored complex, and that is why, as it is shown into the chemical equation, CuH2O4 plus 2 plus 4Cl minus, that gives CuCl4 minus 2, which is a green in color, and that is why we can see overall solution turn green into color from the blue color. Now, my dear students, we are going to study the next question. What is the coordination entity formed when excess of aqueous KCN is added to an aqueous solution of copper sulfate? Why is it that no precipitate of copper sulfate is obtained when H2S gas is passed through this solution? So, my dear students, it is interesting to study this phenomena, that when excess of KCN is passed through the aqueous solution of copper sulfate, CuCN4 minus 2 is formed. You can see that the aqueous solution of copper sulfate can be written as CuH2O4 plus 2. You can write here SO4 minus 2 or Cl2, whatever you want to write. But let us look at this, that CuH2O4 plus 2 is there, which is the aqueous solution of copper. We add 4Cn minus, so CuCN4 minus 2 is formed and 4H2O is produced. Now this CuCN4 minus 2 remains intact. It does not produce Cu plus 2 ion and 4Cn minus into the aqueous solution. As a coordinate, CuCN4 minus 2 remains intact as a coordination entity, and Cu plus 2 ions are not ionized or dissociated in water. So when we pass H2S gas, Cu plus 2 ion does not react with H2S gas separately, and thus the black precipitates of Cu twice S are not formed. These questions want you to understand that the coordination entity formed by the coordination of the ligand and metal ion remains intact into the aqueous solution and does not give precipitate, as if there is a metal ion found into the free state. Now we have the next question. CrNH36 plus 3 is paramagnetic, while NiCN4 minus 2 is a diamagnetic. We need to explain this. We have not studied about CrNH36 plus 3, so I am going to explain. But remember, my dear students, that NiCN4 minus 2, we have already studied into the theory. CrNH36 plus 3, so Cr is plus 3. Chromium argon 3d5 4s1. From chromium Cr plus 3, when it is formed, 3 electrons have been removed. So chromium plus 3 is argon 3d3 4s0. NH3 here being a weak ligand, delta 0 is greater than P, so no pairing takes place. So when CrNH36 plus 3 is formed, we have argon. In 3d we have 3 unpaired electron, 2 orbital vacant. So using the 2 orbitals of 3d, 1 orbital of 4s, 2 orbital of 3 orbital of 4p, D2sp3 hybridization has been made, and 6 ammonia ligand give their electron to D2, 6 D2sp3 hybrid orbitals, and that is how the octahedral CuNH36 plus 3 has been made. This octahedral complex has 3 unpaired electrons, so it is paramagnetic, and mu B is 3.87 Bohr magneton. That is how, my dear student, we can understand. But when it comes to the NiCN4 minus 2, the oxidation state of Ni is plus 2. So Ni argon 3d8 4s2, Ni plus 2 is argon 3d8 4s0. Cn minus being strong ligand cause pairing. So splitting of energy is smaller than the pairing energy, and that is why when NiCN4 minus 2 is formed, 3d has got 4 paired orbital filled completely, 1d 1s and 2p, that is 2 4p makes dsp2 square polar NiCN for -2, and it does not have any unpaired electron, and that is why it is diamagnetic in nature. So this is how, my dear students, we can prove that CrNH36 plus 3 is paramagnetic, while NiCN for -2 is diamagnetic in nature. Now we can understand the next. A solution of NiH2O6 plus 2 is green, but NiCN for -2 is colorless. A solution of NiH2O6 plus 2 is green, but NiCN for -2 is colorless. Let us try to understand. NiH2O6 plus 2 means Ni plus 2. So Ni Z is equal to 28 argon 3d8 forest 0. Ni plus 2 argon 3d8 forest 0. H2O being weak ligand, delta O is greater than P. That does not cause pairing, and NiH2O6 plus 2 has 3d. So using the 1 4s, 3p and 2 4d, sp3 d2 hybridization takes place. We have two unpaired electrons present into the 3d, and that is why two unpaired electrons which absorb the energy and go to the excited state, while returning to the ground state they emit light, and NiH2O6 is colored. But in NiCN6 minus there are no unpaired electron, and we have already seen NiCN6 minus 2. Here itself you can see, and that is why, because Cn minus cause the pairing of electron, and then D2sp3 hybridization takes place, and as it does not have any unpaired